Has this ever happened to you? You start speaking English, and suddenly your mind feels completely empty. Just a moment ago, you knew exactly what you wanted to say. You had the words. You had even rehearsed the sentence. But then someone looked at you, waiting for a reply. And in that instant, it all vanished. The next word wouldn't come. The grammar slipped away. You couldn't even recall what you were trying to express. This happens to countless English learners. It doesn't mean your English is weak. It doesn't mean you aren't ready to speak. It simply means your brain got overloaded. While you're speaking, your brain juggles a lot at once. It selects vocabulary. It constructs sentences. It monitors grammar. It listens to the other person. It reads their expression. All of this happens in a flash. So sometimes your brain essentially says, "Give me a second." Today, I want to walk you through exactly what to do in that moment. Not afterward, not the next day. I mean right when your thoughts go silent and no words come out. Let's start with a short story. Someone was ordering at a cafe in London. The barista asked, "Would you like anything else?" The learner wanted to reply, "Yes, could I also get a glass of water?" Simple sentence, familiar words. But his mind froze completely. The barista waited. He felt the pressure building. Finally, he blurted out, "Sorry, my English is bad." But that wasn't true at all. He'd only misplaced one sentence. Here's the key point. Don't turn a single missing sentence into a verdict on your whole ability. Don't tell yourself your English is awful. Just say, "I lost that sentence." Those two statements feel completely different. Saying your English is awful is an attack on yourself. Saying you lost a sentence is simply naming a small, temporary glitch. And a lost sentence can always be found again. So what could this learner have done instead? He could have used what I call a rescue bridge, a brief phrase that buys your brain a little extra time while keeping you inside the conversation. Something like, "Give me a second to think," or "What I'm trying to say is," or "How do I put this? I know what I mean. I just need a moment." These phrases work because they aren't just filler noise. They signal to the listener what's actually happening. You're not backing out of the conversation. You're still fully in it. Picture this. Someone asks, "What did you think of the movie?" Your mind blanks. You say, "Give me a second. I liked it, but the ending was..." And now you've bought yourself extra time. Maybe the next word arrives, maybe not. Either way, you still have other tools available. Here's the next one. When your mind goes blank, stop hunting for the perfect sentence. Instead, picture the scene in your head and ask 3 simple questions. Where was I? Who else was there? What happened first? These are basic questions, but they can jumpstart your memory. Say someone asks, "How was your weekend?" You want to describe a family lunch, but your mind goes empty. Rather than chasing a polished answer, start from the scene itself. On Sunday, I was at my sister's place. My parents were there too. First, we had lunch. Now the story is moving. Once the story starts rolling, more words tend to follow naturally. That's because memory isn't stored only as words. It also lives in images, locations, people, sounds, and feelings. When the words vanish, return to the picture. Here's another trick. Grab the last important word from the question you were just asked and use it to launch your answer. For instance, if someone asks, "How was your meeting?" The key word is meeting. You could respond, "The meeting went well. We discussed a new project." Or if they ask, "Why do you like this city?" The key word is city. You might say, "This city is hectic, but I love the energy." Or if someone asks, "What do you usually do after work?" the key phrase is after work. You could answer, "After work, I typically head home and cook." You don't need to invent a fresh starting point from nothing. The other person already handed you one. This trick is especially handy during interviews, exams, and fast-moving conversations. Now here's a slightly unusual idea. When your mind blanks, shrink your sentence. Many learners try to say too much at once. They think of a big idea in their native language first, then attempt to carry that entire thought into English in one go. The sentence becomes overloaded. For example, imagine trying to say, "I was planning to go downtown, but since the weather changed and I'd already had an exhausting week, I decided staying home was the smarter choice." That's a heavy sentence, and your brain might stall halfway through. So break it down instead. "I wanted to go into town. Then it started raining. I was exhausted. I stayed home." Same meaning, much easier path. Think of speaking like carrying grocery bags. Try to carry 10 bags at once, and you'll likely drop them all. Carry one, set it down, then grab the next. One idea per sentence. And this isn't oversimplified English. It's clear English. Strong communication isn't about crafting the longest possible sentence. It's about making it easy for the listener to follow along. Next up is what I call the 3-box method. Whenever you need to answer a question, sort your response into 3 boxes. Box 1, the direct answer. Box 2, one reason behind it. Box 3, one example. Say someone asks, "Do you enjoy learning English?" Box 1, "Yes, I do." Box 2, the reason. "It helps me connect with more people." Box 3, the example. For instance, "I can chat with people while traveling." That's already a full, satisfying answer. Or maybe someone asks, "What kind of food do you like?" Box 1, "I really enjoy Italian food." Box 2, "It's simple, yet packed with flavor." Box 3, for example, "I love pasta with tomato sauce." The 3-box structure keeps your brain from trying to grab everything at once. You only ever need to fill the next box. Now imagine you forget just one word, say, kettle, and it just won't come to you. Many learners freeze the entire conversation over a single missing word. Don't do that. Describe around it instead. Say, "It's the thing we use to boil water," or "I can't remember the word, but it's something in the kitchen used for making tea." This trick works because native speakers do exactly the same thing all the time. Even in their own language, people forget words constantly. The goal isn't perfect recall, it's keeping the meaning alive. You can also swap in a broader term. Forgot pharmacy? Say, the shop for medicine. Forgot receipt? Say, the paper from the store. It might not be the exact word, but the message still gets through. And, more importantly, you keep talking. Here's yet another rescue move. Flip the conversation around. If your mind is completely stuck, ask a small question back. Say someone asks, "What do you like to do on weekends?" and nothing comes to mind. You could say, "It depends. What about you? Do you usually go out?" They answer, and while they're talking, your brain gets a breather to recover. Then you can circle back. "That sounds nice. I usually stay in on Saturdays, but I go out on Sundays." This isn't cheating. A conversation isn't a test where one person talks while the other waits silently. It flows in both directions. A skilled speaker doesn't just answer questions, they ask them too. Let's talk about the body for a second. A blank mind often begins physically before it ever reaches your words. Your shoulders tense up. Your breathing gets shallow. Your mouth goes dry. Your expression turns serious. Then your brain reads those signals and assumes something's wrong. So give your body one small task to do. Press your feet gently into the floor. Exhale slowly. Loosen your jaw. Focus on one warm, friendly detail in the other person's face, their eyes, or their smile. Don't try to relax everything at once. That's too much to manage. Just pick one small action. Exhale and say, "Let me think for a second." This tells both your body and brain that you're safe. There's no danger here. You're just searching for a sentence. Here's another useful concept. Prepare 5 safe doors. A safe door is a flexible phrase that can open the way into almost any topic. Here are 5. The first thing that comes to mind is, one reason is, a good example would be, it really depends on the situation. Honestly, I've never thought about that before. These phrases work because they're reusable across countless conversations. Someone asks, "What makes a good teacher?" You reply, "Well, the first thing that comes to mind is patience." Someone asks, "Why do people move to big cities?" You say, "One reason is work opportunities." Someone asks, "Is social media a good thing?" You answer, "It really depends on the situation." Someone throws a tough question your way, and you can say, "Honestly, I've never thought about that before, but I think." These safe doors aren't complete answers. They're just openings, and openings are usually the hardest part to get through. Once you begin, everything after tends to flow more easily. Now here's a rather unconventional exercise for you. Stop practicing only perfect speech. Start practicing recovery instead. Pick an easy topic: food, work, travel, whatever. Talk for a minute, then deliberately cut yourself off mid-sentence. Pause for 2 seconds. Then practice finding your way back in. Say something like, "Let me put that more simply," or, "Sorry, I lost my train of thought. What I meant was," then keep going. Why does this matter? Because real conversations are messy. A phone rings. Someone interrupts. A word slips your mind. You change direction mid-thought. If you only ever rehearse flawless sentences, you're not training for real speaking. Real speaking includes repair work. A confident speaker isn't someone who never stumbles. It's someone who knows how to find their way back. One more practice game for you. Pick an everyday object nearby, a mug, a set of keys, a chair. Now describe it without ever saying its name. For example, you use this to unlock your front door. It's small and made of metal. The answer, of course, is a key. And that's it. I hope these tools help you become a more confident, resilient speaker. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of SpeakFlow English. Until next time, keep learning, keep practicing, and keep pushing your speaking forward. See you soon.